Welcome to Industry TV Network. Make sure you hit the like button, share, and subscribe. In this video, we'll be discussing the life and times of Stephanie Mills. Stephanie Dorothea Mills was born to Joseph and Christine Mills and raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, New York. Mills was raised Baptist and sang gospel music as a child at Brooklyn's Cornerstone Baptist Church. She began her professional career at age 9, appearing in the Broadway musical Maggie Flynn. After winning amateur night at the Apollo Theater 6 weeks straight at age 11, Mills went on to become the opening act for the Isley Brothers. In 1973, Mills was signed to Paramount Records by Michael Barbaro, and her first single, I Knew It Was Love, was released. She was later signed to Motown after being suggested by Suzanne DePaz. Her first 2 albums there failed to produce a hit, and Mills left the label in 1976. Her career rose when she portrayed Dorothy in the 7-time Tony Award-winning Broadway musical The Wiz, an African-American adaptation of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The song Home was first performed by Mills on stage in a production and would be covered later by Diana Ross for the movie adaptation 3 years later. Mills' commercial success in the music industry struggled until 1979 when she signed to the 20th Century Fox Records label. There, Mills found her niche in mainly disco music, recording songs such as Put Your Body in It, You Can Get Over, and What You Gonna Do With My Lovin'. The resulting album, What You Gonna Do With My Lovin', was Mills' first gold record. She quickly followed the success with 1980's Sweet Sensation, which featured Mills' hit Never Knew Love Like This Before. The single became a number 12 R&B hit and reached number 6 on the pop charts in 1980, as well as reaching number 4 in the UK singles chart. 1981's album Stephanie featured a top hit for her and Teddy Pendergrass, entitled Two Hearts. Two hearts are always better. Her 1983 album Merciless featured her hit cover of Prince's How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore, as well as number 3 dance chart hit Pilot Era, which was her first dance hit in the US in 1984. Mills had her third UK hit with the Medicine Song, which also reached number 1 on the US dance chart and number 8 on the R&B chart. On May 24, 1984, Mills returned to theater to star in a short-lived touring revival of The Wiz. In 1985, Mills' recording of Bit by Bit, the theme from Fletch, was featured in the Chevy Chase film Fletch and reached number 52 on the Hot R&B Hip-Hop Singles and Tracks chart, number 78 on the Billboard Hot 100, and number 15 on the dance chart. Success for Mills peaked until 1986, when her version of the Angela Winbush penned I Learned to Respect the Power of Love hit number 1 on the R&B singles chart. She truly returned with her next release, If I Were Your Woman, in 1987, under MCA Records, where she was newly signed. The hits from the album include the title track, originally a hit for Gladys Knight and the Pips in 1971, a 3-week number 1 R&B hit, I Feel Good All Over, and You're Putting a Rush on Me, to name a few of the songs released. The album reached platinum status. That same year, she appeared in the NBC TV special Motown, Merry Christmas, along with other musical artists and actors, performing the song Christmas Every Day, which was written by actor-comedian Red Fox. Mills' success continued with 1989's Home album. The hits from that album include The Comfort of a Man, the title track, a cover of her old standard from The Wiz, and another song penned by Wimbush titled Something in the Way You Make Me Feel, which became another platinum record for Mills. She would record one more album, 1992's Something Real, and a Christmas album before being released from her contract with MCA in 1992. In 1993, she once again starred in the role of Dorothy in The Wiz. This revival was also short-lived, closing after 28 performances. Mills released a live gospel recording in 1994 on Gospel-Centric Records entitled Personal Inspirations. The set was produced by Donald Lawrence and featured a spiritualized retooling of her hit I Learned to Respect the Power of Love. Thereafter, Mills took a break from recording to take care of her son. In 1997, Mills played the lead in a major production of Stephen Schwartz's Children of Eden in New Jersey, which Schwartz has called the definitive production of the show. Mills was heavily featured in the cast recording CD that resulted from this production. In 2008, Mills began a comeback with singles recorded with BB Winans and rapper DMX, to name a few. She made a comeback by independently releasing Born for This, which was released on Expansion Records in the UK on August 3rd, 2004. Her first single in over a decade, Can't Let Him Go, garnered buzz at Urban Contemporary Radio. A 2-disc, career-spanning greatest hits compilation entitled Gold was released by Hippo/Universal Music. Mills had just finished production of a live DVD that was recorded at BB King's in New York and was sold online at her shows. Mills made an appearance in the 2007 gospel TV series Sunday Best and was featured in a live interview on the Yolanda Adams Morning Show, where she mentioned that she had her own record label, JM Records. Mills performed prior to Pope Benedict XVI celebrating Mass at Yankee Stadium in New York on April 20th, 2008. Towards the end of 2012, Mills released a new single, So in Love This Christmas. In 2015, Mills was cast as Aunt M in the NBC Live musical production of The Wiz, 40 years after her initial Broadway run in the show. She made headlines in August 2018 with her response to singer Sam Smith, who commented on an Instagram video post that he did not like Michael Jackson, but the Jackson hit Human Nature was a decent song. Mills' fiery response quickly gained traction as she criticized Smith in her own Instagram responses, both accusing Smith of cultural appropriation and referring to Michael Jackson as a one-hit wonder. In November 2021, Mills participated in a versus battle with Shaka Khan, at which both singers performed hits from their lengthy catalogs. Mills has been married 3 times. She was married to Jeffrey Daniel from 1980 to 1983. Jeffrey Daniel was from the R&B group Shalimar. Mills met her first husband, Jeffrey Daniel, through an RCA Records executive and quickly hit it off. They soon became inseparable and realized they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together. The decision was abrupt, but the two musicians wasted no time being single. After 3 years of courtship, Mills tied the knot with Daniel. The pair officially became husband and wife on June 13, 1980, but reportedly found difficulty settling into their life together for their first year. However, Daniel had nothing but sweet words for his wife during interviews. During their 14th month together, the couple agreed to a joint interview where they talked about their marriage. For the most part, Mills expressed her profound love and support for Daniel. Meanwhile, he said, "Stephanie's really becoming her own person, and I admire that. I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching her do things for the marriage, for us, because of our love for each other." Days after the interview, however, news of their separation hit the press. The singer didn't comment much on her marriage's end, but after filing for divorce, she resided alone in their Hollywood Hills residence. According to the couple's friends, they remained in love but couldn't get along. Mills eventually talked about their relationship, saying, "All I'll confirm is that my marriage was plagued by controversies and pressures from the moment Jeffrey and I decided to become husband and wife." Since divorcing, Mills has grown and matured in many ways. Despite ending their marriage, Mills and Daniel are on good terms and share a great relationship. In 2022, Mills paid tribute to her ex-husband for his birthday and claimed he taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk. Now, we all know there was plenty of gossip surrounding Jeffrey Daniel and Stephanie Mills' marriage, mainly that he was very abusive to her. And I found a few things where they was dropping a lot of tea and more insight on it. This particular post said, "Jeffrey Daniels really was terrible to Stephanie with the abuse. And all I really hope is that she did not record with that idiot." And someone responded, "Yeah, I remember knowing about him smacking her around at the time, and it was from a reliable source, so I know it was true. I heard that too. No wonder the marriage didn't last long." And they posted a picture of Shalimar and said, "This is the guy she married, the guy on the left. He was the man that taught MJ the moonwalk and helped choreograph the Bad video." Now, there's much, much more, guys. There's much, much more. This particular one said, "She wanted to marry Michael Jackson at one time." Someone responded, "I don't know about married, but they were close at one time. In fact, I always felt the hit single Never Knew Love Like This was dedicated to him. I remember back in the day, don't know if it was Right On magazine, but her sister was a good friend of Michael and Stephanie wanted her to hook her up with him." Then they went back to Jeffrey. "Jeffrey Daniels really was terrible to Stephanie with the abuse." Yeah, we read that part. Okay. So they talk about her being abused by Jeffrey. And one thing that I read that I don't remember where I read, they were talking about them two being together and Jody Watley being upset that they were married because he was dating Jody Watley for a long time, but he never married her. He turned around and married Stephanie. So they said that they remember reading in Ebony and that they still have the magazine somewhere. She had to wear cover-up makeup and long-sleeve clothing to play off the bruises and perform. I remember reading this in Ebony and I still have them. Okay, let's repeat it. Do you think Jeffrey was jealous of her? I do know that he was young. She was 20 and he was 21 or 22. Like, I don't know many marriages where they last from their 20s into the old age. So, she's very respectful towards him, and she denies that he ever put his hands on her. So I don't know how true that is. It might most likely be true, but she might understand that he was young and he didn't know any better. But they also said she said he once smacked her up real bad while he was driving, then put her out of the car on the side of LAX. She also said that her sisters knew he was crazy and tried everything to stop her from marrying him. I heard that too in the streets. I heard that word on the streets, y'all. So, well, I do know that he didn't like the fact that his career wasn't really going anywhere and Stephanie's was. Then he started doing that Soul Train in London stuff. As far as Michael and Stephanie, I could see them hanging in the 70s because they did partake in the Wiz, but they was already friends before he started doing the Wiz. They was already friends. It's not just because he was in the Wiz. My best friend's auntie hated Stephanie Mills. They were messing with the same dude, and she'd be talking smack about her drunk or crazy. I was in junior high, and I just knew something wasn't right with her. I wonder if this is dude she was carrying on about with two confused 7th graders. Anyway, Stephanie owns a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Every fall, some of the owners open their homes and let strangers tour. My old principal was head of the committee, and I bought tickets. Stephanie has a beautiful home. The crazy or drunk aunt was Muslim, and I think the guy had a Muslim name too. I'm in my 40s, so this is old tea. Well, y'all know the internet is going to have all the tea, okay? Stephanie Mills was a big star in the 80s, and Jeffrey was in the successful group Shalimar. Jeffrey was making money from being a dancer/choreographer. According to Jody Watley, the group wasn't making any money from record sales, and while she was dating Jeffrey, he was abusive. So Jody confirmed it too. Everyone said Jody disliked Stephanie, yet she questioned why didn't they interview Stephanie for Unsung. During a radio interview with Wendy Williams, Stephanie denied any abuse or drug use during the marriage. So Stephanie denied it, guys. So it may be true, but she probably didn't want to speak on it. I'm glad that they get along now, though. In 1989, the home songstress secretly married her second husband, Dino Meminger. It wasn't until 7 months later that they started telling people about their relationship status as husband and wife. Unfortunately, Meminger, who is known for his appearances in that 70s show, Profiler and Living Single, and Mills separated. Years later, in 2004, Meminger took the life of Double Nickel Bar owner Peter Nichols before taking his own. Oh my goodness. The actor supposedly traveled to confront his estranged wife, while he also hurt her. She survived the tragic occurrence. That's terrible. Mills walked down the aisle a third time and married Michael Saunders in 1993. Stephanie Mills' husband of 8 years, a radio programmer, said his I do's at the Church of God in Marshville, North Carolina. Following her union, Mills focused on being a wife and moved to Detroit with her husband. Although their marriage also didn't work out, Mills is happy with her life today, raising a son, Farad, with special needs. Her manager acts as Farad's father figure. Like Mills, several entertainers had children with special needs, including Brendan Fraser, Chris Pratt, Bob Denver, Donnie Wahlberg, and John Travolta. So she had a few tumultuous relationships, but this young lady's energy, Stephanie, is like so wonderful. Like, I can tell that she's just a really nice person. So I can understand if she didn't admit what was going on with her and Jeffrey Daniels, just to protect his image as well. Mills' son, Farad Mills, was born with Down syndrome. She also once had a brief relationship with Michael Jackson. Stephanie Mills met Michael Jackson when she joined the Broadway cast of The Wiz from 1974 to 1979. Jackson starred in the on-screen adaptation as the Scarecrow in 1978. The iconic actress, singer Diana Ross portrayed Dorothy in the film. It was said that Stephanie claimed that Michael wanted to date a certain type of woman, which may have led to their breakup. BET shared a previous interview with V103 where Mills confessed that she and Jackson dated. "I loved Michael," she said. "I thought that I was going to be Mrs. Michael Jackson. But I was ready at 20 and 21. I was ready at 20 and 21 to get married, and he was not even close to getting married or having a girlfriend at the time. But yes, we dated. We dated for a while." The I Feel Good All Over singer claimed Jackson was a great kisser. His kisses were wonderful, she added. He was very affectionate, very loving, very sensitive. Michael was really misunderstood. Honestly, I really just think he was misunderstood because he was so sensitive. In an interview with Vlad TV, Mills claimed that although his family really liked them being together, the late entertainer had other goals. Michael wanted so much more, which is probably why we went our separate ways. She continued, he wanted to be the biggest star in the world, and he wanted to associate with certain people that I didn't want to associate with. So we just went on different paths. He liked them and would go to their houses and stuff, and I wasn't particularly interested in going. During the interview, Mills noted that despite being a superstar, Jackson had issues with self-esteem, often triggered by his battle with acne. I spent a lot of time with him, she said. I was in heaven because this was Michael Jackson that was on all the covers of Right On magazine and Ebony and Jet. She added Jackson would be affected by how fans treated him over his skin issues, explaining, he was suffering from some acne issues and he didn't like that some of the fans weren't too kind to him when they would see him during a breakout. Mills disclosed that although he was soft-spoken, he was very strategic. Michael was not a punk. He knew what he wanted, he knew how to get it, she said. He was very strategic in things that he did. She described the artist as loving, kind, and easygoing. The interviewer brought up the subject of Jackson's changes in skin color due to vitiligo and asked if that affected their relationship. Mills recalled that during those times, Michael was black. His mother wanted him to date black girls. Jackson had a different type of woman in mind. He wanted to be a certain way, she said, and he lived his life the way he wanted to. He liked a certain type of woman, and he thought it would be best for him and his career to be with certain types of women. Mills avoided claiming Jackson was only interested in white women, but his public dating history confirms the theory. His past romances included Madonna, Brooke Shields, Tatum O'Neal, and the late Lisa Marie Presley. He married Presley in 1994 and divorced 2 years later. Within the same year, he married Debbie Rowe, with whom he shares his 3 children, sons Michael Joseph Jackson Jr., Prince Michael, and daughter Paris Jackson. The Grammy Award winner stated she believes Jackson thought being romantically linked to white women would aid in his success as an entertainer. I think he felt he would be more accepted in the world that he wanted to go in, the world he wanted to dominate, she continued. I believe he felt that for him, it was important to dominate the world of pop music. That's why he called himself the King of Pop. So as you can tell, she's very protective. She doesn't have a bad word to say about anybody. That's just Stephanie's nature. And what a beautiful nature she has. May she continue to be successful and make her way in this industry as she's been doing for so many years to our pleasure. Shout out to Stephanie Mills. Peace and love.